Walters is open late and a great spot to watch the final rounds of the NBA and Stanley Cup playoffs. Walters Sports Bar and Restaurant is located just across the street from Nationals Park.
This podcast episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
The 1-1. Swing a long drive, right field. If it's fair, it's gone. It is fair. It is gone. Onto the concourse. Straight down the right field line. Another tape measure home run for James Wood. His 15th of the season. And the Nationals lead it 4-0.
Wood a bit toward the line and left. Gap at left center with Young a bit toward right center. Volleys into his wind, the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Blows the fastball by him at 98 miles an hour. 2 strikeouts and a 1-2-3 inning for Cavalli, who's fan 5. And we are through 4 innings in Cleveland.
Parker ready for the 0-2. Here it is. Swinging a ground ball right side. Chaparro backhands. He races to the bag. He'll flip to Parker, covering in time for the out. And the Nationals have won their 4th consecutive game. It's a 6-3 final. Mitchell Parker gets his first save of the year, second in the big leagues. A win for Cade Cavalli. The Nationals 29-27, 2 games over 500, and a season's best 4-game winning streak, and a series win here in Cleveland with that 6-3 final score.
And welcome to Nats Chat. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. My usual co-host, Washington Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman of NatsJournal.com. He's off for this installment of the podcast, but I'm joined by the creator, owner, and executive producer of Nats Chat, Tim Shovers. Wednesday night, June 30th, 2021, a 15-6 Nats win over the Tampa Bay Rays at Nationals Park improved the Nats to 40-38. The Nats now are at least 2 games above 500 at the latest point in a regular season since being 40-38 through games on June 30th, 2021. The Nats won their 4th consecutive game, a 6-3 win at the Cleveland Guardians on Tuesday evening in Game 2 of a 3-game series. The win gives the Nats their longest winning streak in MLB's 2026 regular season, in which the Nats now are 29-27 with a run differential of -3. Not just 2 games above 500, but nearing a positive run differential, and the 29-27 is made up of the Nats being a remarkable 19-11 on the road versus 10-16 at home. This installment of Nats Chat brought to us by Mason Kalfas, the top legal recruiter in Washington, D.C. Mason has been with us since our first season. You can reach him at 202-486-3535. You look at the Nats, they are having some road trip. 4-1 on this 6-game road trip comprised of 2 3-game series, each of which was/is against one of the best teams in MLB, the National League leading Atlanta Braves and the American League Central leading Cleveland Guardians. And the number one reason that the Nats are having such a good road trip is their pitching. More good pitching on Tuesday evening. Another home run from James Wood as well. Tim, what a run our Washington Nationals are on right now.
Al, when I was last on here, the Nats were under 500, about to go on a road trip against 2 first-place teams. Here I am, 1 cycle through the Cade Cavalli rotation later. I'm back, and they're 2 games above 500, and you felt confident tonight. Al, with this lead, you're like, you know what? I like how this is shaping up. Cavalli's looking good. I think Parker could go the distance. And here we are, another win by the Nats, chance to sweep on Wednesday.
We have had so many conversations during the life of this podcast, which started in 2021, about all of the things that had gone wrong for the Nats since the team won the World Series in 2019. I've brought this up previously, but I'll ask it again. I mean, right now, is this not the high point for this team since winning the 2019 World Series, or at least since the rebuild started? I mean, the Nats did do some good things in that 2021 season prior to the fall off and the fire sale. So I suppose you could say June 2021, when some things were going really well for the Nats, was the high point, and perhaps still remains the high point since the 2019 World Series championship. But I do think that this now is a conversation. But certainly since the fire sale of late July 2021. Is this not the high point for this franchise?
Since August 1st, 2021, yes, this is definitely the high point for the franchise. I feel very confident about it, to the point where I'd love to hear the argument for second place.
Yeah, I don't even know what there would be in terms of like another legitimate candidate. So we understand when we talk about high points for the Nats since the fire sale of late July 2021, not exactly a ton of candidates. We get that. But this is a ton of fun what this team is doing right now. We appreciate all of the support of this podcast, which as of Tuesday morning was the number 7 podcast in the country in terms of U.S. baseball podcasts on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate that so much. It is great to have you with us. It is great to have the Nats doing as they are doing. And the Nats pitching has been lights out. And that trend was continued on Tuesday evening via Cade Cavalli and what he did in this 6-3 win at the Guardians. Cavalli was good for a 4th consecutive outing. He allowed 1 run in 6 innings with 7 strikeouts, gave up 5 hits, which were a double and 4 singles. He issued 2 walks. He threw a lot of strikes, 87 pitches, 61 strikes, just 26 balls. He per Statcast threw 5 different types of pitches, and his velocity was up on 4 of them, including an average 4-seam fastball velocity of 97.1 miles per hour. His velocity lately has been especially impressive. I mean, his stuff usually is impressive. Lately has been really impressive. So much to like about Cavalli in this outing. He, even in the inning in which he gave up the run, did some good things. Cavalli in the bottom of the 5th allowed a run on 2 singles, a walk, and a sac fly. But I thought that he did a nice job of limiting the damage. The Guardians had the bases loaded with 1 out, but he then retired their numbers 2 and 3 batters in Jose Ramirez and Chase DeLauder. The run scored on a 1-out RBI sac fly by Ramirez. I don't know if the Cade Cavalli of previous years, maybe even previous weeks, would have gotten out of that inning by just allowing the 1 run. Again, bases loaded, 1 out. The Guardians' numbers 2 and 3 batters coming up, Ramirez and DeLauder. That Cavalli limited the damage in that inning, ended up having the outing that he had: 1 run, 6 innings, 7 strikeouts. What a job by Cade Cavalli.
That was the ball game right there. Helped hold Cleveland off, only got the 1 run, 3-run lead. And from there, I thought he lulled this game to sleep, just like an ace. He was the Nationals' ace on Tuesday night in Cleveland. You felt like this game was in good hands. You felt like the lead was going to be intact for the late innings of the bullpen. I don't think we all knew that Parker was necessarily going to take over for the final 3 innings. But you knew that, okay, his pitch count seems to be relatively moderate. He's going to go 6 or 7 innings. All trends were positive ever since he got out of that gym.
You look at Cade Cavalli now in this regular season, 12 games, all starts, ERA of 3.62, whip of 1.41, a strikeouts per 9 innings of 10.26. He has been really good over his last 4 outings. Cavalli in the Nats 5-2 loss at the Miami Marlins on May 10th, 2 runs, 5 2/3 innings, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. Cavalli in the Nats 13-3 win over the Baltimore Orioles at Nationals Park on May 16th, officially allowed 3 runs in 6 1/3 innings, but the last of the runs was scored with him out of the game, and he had 8 strikeouts versus no walks. Cavalli in the Nats 2-1 loss to the New York Mets at Nationals Park last Thursday, May 21st, 2 runs, 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, 1 walk, and now we have what we had with Cavalli on Tuesday evening. He is pitching consistently well. This is exactly what you wanted to see, and we are seeing it from him. And how about Nats starting pitchers over the team's last 6 games? If you go by the rotation, so we are including bulk pitchers in games in which openers were used, but Cade Cavalli, Miles Mikolas, Jake Irvin, Foster Griffin, Zach Littell, and then Cade Cavalli again over the Nats' last 6 games have combined for these stats: ERA of 1. 39 strikeouts versus 7 walks. The Nats pitching has gone from being wretched to being outstanding. Like, it's not just that the pitching has improved. It's not just that the pitching has gone from bad to so-so. The pitching has gone from horrible, which is what it was earlier this season, horrible, to outstanding. An ERA of 1 from Nats rotation members over the team's last 6 games.
I'll use your word, outstanding, to describe the pitching. And we also agree that this is the high point for the team since the summer of 2021. Those two things clearly go hand in hand. This is why they're playing winning baseball right now. This is why they are 2 games over 500. This is why they've won 4 straight against 2 first-place teams who themselves are well above 500. They're getting good pitching every single day. They're coming in well, not every single day, but pretty darn close. They are well rested. Look at this series so far. They've only used 4 pitchers thus far. They're coming in very fresh for a chance at a sweep on Wednesday here. Brad Lord has not yet been deployed in Cleveland, Al Galdi. So love what I see here from this pitching. And as long as this pitching is anywhere near outstanding, then this winning is going to continue.
It's going to be so interesting to see how Nats manager Blake Butera handles his pitching staff on Wednesday afternoon for Game 3 of this series. A 110 start. Miles Mikolas is the Nats starting pitcher. We know how the Nats like to protect Mikolas, but the Nats have an off day on Thursday, their first off day in quite some time. And like you said, the Nats have barely used the bullpen so far in this series. So Butera can go all out with his bullpen deployment in Game 3 of this series. Hey, are you a law firm partner or associate looking to transition to a new firm because of compensation? If this sounds like you should explore the lateral market and give Mason Kalfas a call. Mason is the top legal recruiter in the Washington, D.C. area. He has been a Nats Chat podcast advertiser since the beginning of our show. To find the best law firm out there for your future career, call Mason Kalfas today, 202-486-3535.
Big thanks to our sponsor, BetterHelp, for partnering with us for this important conversation about mental health.
This is Steve Smith here, former NFL wide receiver and host of the 89 show on YouTube. So having a counselor and working with BetterHelp, that gives you an opportunity to really start to unpack. But people don't understand, when you unpack things, you also open up a box that you're not always sure what's inside. So I think that's why seeing a professional is extremely important. If you need someone to open up to, visit BetterHelp. That's betterhelp.com/89 to get started.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car is gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
The set, the 0-2 from Parker, just low. Now Ruiz is going to challenge.
Catcher's challenging.
I was about to say strike 3 called, and I think I may say that in a moment. That looked like a good pitch. We look out at the scoreboard. Strike 3 called.
Strike.
Cade Ruiz wins the overturn. The Nationals are 4 for 4 in challenges tonight. Ruiz wins a challenge for strike 3. Mitchell Parker fans 3 in a row after a leadoff single.
Mitchell Parker on Tuesday evening, he was the only reliever used by Butera in this game. He allowed 2 runs in 3 innings, 5 strikeouts versus 1 walk. In the bottom of the 9th, allowed 2 runs and giving up a walk, a single, and a double. But he got the save, and he, to me, overall was good. And you mentioned this. This is something. The Nats, over the first 2 games of this series, using a total of just 4 pitchers. Opener P.J. Poulin and bulk man Zach Littell in the 10-2 win at the Guardians on Monday evening. And now Cade Cavalli and Mitchell Parker in this 6-3 win at the Guardians on Tuesday evening. We talk about the improvement in the pitching. The improvement has come in a variety of ways. Improved run prevention, yes, but also length from starting pitchers or length from bulk men. If you want to talk about what Littell did in game 1 of this series, like it's not just that Nats pitchers are pitching well, Nats pitchers are eating up innings and pitching well.
Al, with Mitchell Parker this game, 3 innings, taking over, getting the 3 inning save and making it so that only 2 pitchers were needed to win this game is, to me, the starkest change from the Mike Rizzo era to the Paul Taboni era. It seems like this new administration has found a way to use Mitchell Parker. He's not a starter. He's not someone you use for an inning. He's not a lefty out of the pen like that. He is, I'm not sure what we're calling guys that can go 3 innings like him and Lord, tandem starter, piggybacker. I don't know what the lingo is here, but I love that they have taken someone who is not necessarily a frontline starter and figured out a way to use him and figured out a way to use him and to win games. I love where they're at with Mitchell Parker right now.
Yeah, I mean, Parker's stats don't blow you away, but the stats have been marred by a few bad outings. He, in this role of long man, has had plenty of good outings, and I thought he had another good one in this game. Again, the final line, I don't think necessarily tells the story of how well Parker pitched in this game. And, I have brought this up, but what you now have with this Nats pitching staff basically is like a 3-level setup of the traditional starters, then these long men, Mitchell Parker, Andrew Alvarez, Brand Lord, and then the traditional relievers. And I don't know if this is like the long-term design from the president of baseball operations, Paul Taboni, or if this is just, what the team is doing to get by. But it's interesting, the construction now of this pitching staff and the way that this team is approaching things of like, it's not just starters and relievers, it's starters, long men, and relievers. And of course, the starters aren't always technically starters, with them serving as bulk men in games in which the Nats use openers. So the pitching paradigm for the Washington Nationals has been altered a bit by the new process led by Paul Taboni. But how do you argue with the results with the Nats at 2 games above 500? The Nats offense in this win at the Guardians on Tuesday evening, again, was good. 6 runs, 11 hits, which were a home run, a double, and 9 singles, 5 walks, 3 for 7 with runners in scoring position. The Nats, for a second time in 2 games in this series, got to a good Guardian starting pitcher, this time Joey Cantillo. He allowed 4 runs in 2 innings. Joey Cantillo came into this game with an ERA of 3.05 over 11 games, all starts in this regular season. Remember what the Nats did in Game 1 of this series. The 10-2 win at the Guardians on Monday evening hit a whopping 5 home runs off Guardian starting pitcher Tanner Bybee, who allowed 7 runs in 3 innings. Bybee came into that game with an ERA of 3.75 over 11 games, all starts in this regular season. So Bybee in Game 1, Cantillo in Game 2. The Nats are having their way with the Guardian starting pitching rotation in this series. Some offensive standouts for the Nats on Tuesday evening. James Wood homered again. He is the Nats starting left fielder and number 1 batter, 3 for 4 with a 2-run homer, 2 singles, and a walk. And he had a stolen base. So Wood in the Nats 4-run second, a 1-out 2-run homer to right field to put the Nats up 4-0. The homer going a projected 401 feet per Statcast. Wood's OPS for this regular season now at 964. Cade Ruiz, he is the Nats starting catcher and number 9 batter, 2 for 4 with a 2-run single and another single. Ruiz in the Nats 4-run second, a 1-out 2-run seeing eye single into left center on a 1-2 pitch for a 2-0 Nats lead. Top of the 6th had a 2-out single off the outfield wall in right field. Did get thrown out by quite a bit in trying to advance to second base. The Nats in this game did make some outs on the base pass, but let us not lose sight of what Cade Ruiz is doing. Is there anyone on the planet who wants to see this month of May go on forevermore than Cade Ruiz? He, for this month of May now, has an OPS of 1,044. Andres Chaparro was the Nats starting first baseman and number 3 batter, 1 for 5, but the 1 was a 2-run single. Chaparro in the Nats 2-run ninth, a 2-out 2-run single to left field to put the Nats up 6-1, although he got thrown out in trying to advance to second base. And Curtis Mead as the Nats starting third baseman and number 2 batter, 0 for 3 with 2 walks. He got thrown out in an attempted steal of second base, but Mead continues to produce. He, for this regular season, now has an OPS of 834. It's funny. The Nats score 6 runs, and, you could argue could have scored more with some of these outs on the base pass. But again, good offensive production from this team, and again, scoring early in a game. 4 runs in the top of the 2nd, setting the tone for the rest of the evening.
6 runs tonight. You're not surprised by that by any means. Wood with the home run. Looking at the statistics right now, Al, and the calendar is getting close to June. We are post-Memorial Day. Wood and Abrams are atop most every National League offensive statistical category. Looks like we could have 2 everyday national starters make the All-Star game in some capacity on the roster. That voting's become very real soon as it's almost June. So I was thinking about that tonight, and I was struck by how the Cleveland radio was talking about that duo. Clearly it's made an impression on the rest of baseball.
Now the 2-2. Hoyer's pitch is whacked into right field. Base hit Abrams. Well, I tell you what, you could watch Abrams and Wood step into the box and never get tired of watching them swing the lumber, unless you're that guy 60 feet, 6 inches away.
And then you see it there with just a little bit of help for someone like Cade Ruiz, who, man, has he completely turned around his whole season this month, adding to it. And there you have it, 6 runs and a 3-1 win.
It is the dynamic duo for the Nats, of course, James Wood and C.J. Abrams. But, we're getting production from other guys, too, which is what has really started to pop up. And, we talked about how, okay, what the offense is doing is great, but so much of it is predicated on James Wood and C.J. Abrams. And I do think that still is largely the case. But when you see someone like Curtis Mead doing what he's doing, when you see Cade Ruiz having the month of May that he's having, when you see some of the good stuff that Dalen Lyle has been doing, it is nice to now be able to say, hey, yes, Wood and Abrams are leading the way, but there is some length to this lineup. There is some depth now to this offense that wasn't necessarily the case a few weeks ago.
Mead's making a case to be in the lineup a lot as the third baseman. I don't want to use the phrase everyday third baseman, but Curtis Mead is certainly making an impression on Nats fans and people who are following him every single day. And you're right, Al, to add a spotlight on him during this stretch with his contribution takes the offense just to a bit of a next tier when you have a guy like that with a hot stick.
So you look at the Nats now. They remain number one in MLB in runs scored and dead last in MLB in runs allowed. It's one of the wildest juxtapositions I can ever remember for any Nats team. Number one in MLB in runs scored, dead last in MLB in runs allowed, 304 runs scored, 307 runs allowed. It says so much, though, about the offense that the Nats are on the doorstep of a positive run differential, despite being dead last in MLB in runs allowed. I mean, think about that. You've given up 307 runs, and yet you're right there in terms of a positive run differential at just -3 now with the run differential and at 29 and 27.
Mom, can you tell me a story?
Sure. Once upon a time, a mom needed a new car.
Was she brave?
She was tired, mostly. But she went to Carvana.com and found a great car at a great price. No secret treasure map required.
Did you have to fight a dragon?
Nope. She bought it 100% online. From her bed, actually.
Was it scary?
Honey, it was as unscary as car buying could be.
Did the car have a sunroof?
It did, actually.
Okay, good story.
Car buying you'll want to tell stories about. Buy your car today on
Carvana.
Delivery fees may apply.
Another great day for Cade. Obviously, the way he threw the ball and then Mitchell Parker throwing those last three there. To get through another game with just two arms, another huge rest for most of our bullpen guys also.
Runner second and third for Chaparro. The 1-1. Swinging a line drive left field down the line. If it's fair, it's 2 runs. It's fair. Nunez scores. Wood to the plate. Chaparro trying for second. The throw there from Kwan. The tag. He's out. But both runs count. It's a 2-run single for Chaparro, thrown out at second base. The Nationals lead it 6-1. Chaparro comes through as he gets his second and third RBIs in the big leagues this season.
There is the opportunity on Wednesday afternoon for the Nats to close out one of the greatest road trips, I would argue, since the franchise came to Washington, D.C. I mean, name me how many other road trips would be better than this if the Nats took 2 out of 3 at National League leading Atlanta and then authored a 3-game sweep at American League Central leading Cleveland. Now, there still is a game to be played on Wednesday afternoon. We're not assuming anything, but there is a real opportunity here for something special. Game 3 for the Nats at the Guardians, Wednesday afternoon at 1:10. The Nats have listed Miles Mikolas as their probable starting pitcher for the game. Then comes that off day on Thursday. Wouldn't it be nice to go into that off day with a win on Wednesday afternoon, completing a 3-game sweep at a good team in the Guardians?
Let me map out the win here, Al. Here's what I think could happen, should happen. PJ Poulin gets the start, 2 innings right there as the opener. Mikolas takes over as the bulk guy, but because Brad Lord is fresh, it is on 3 days rest, which I think is about as most as he's going to get throughout the season. So let's say he can go 3 innings on the back end. You're looking to fill 4 innings with Miles Mikolas. So Poulin, Mikolas, Lord equals sweep. That's what I'm saying there, Al.
It makes sense, and I would not be surprised at all if the pitching plan laid out by Tim Shovers is exactly what we get. I mean, again, Blake Butera can do all kinds of things from a pitching staff standpoint in this game because the pitching in this series so far has been so good, and Man, it's so encouraging to see this with what this team is doing. And, you look at how this team has gone this season, getting now to a 4-game winning streak. The longest winning streak had been 3. The Nats had been sort of up and down from a standpoint of a few wins here, a few losses there. That had been the trend for a while, even with the Nats doing surprisingly well. There has not been that surge in terms of a lengthy winning streak. Perhaps we're now in the midst of one. We'll see where this goes. But 3 games had been the longest winning streak until now. That winning streak now is at 4.
5-game win streak feels a lot more than a 4-game win streak psychologically. And I have an answer, Al, an immediate one to your question of most consequential road trips in the history of the franchise since 2005. I'm going to start with August of 2019, the Nats went 6-1 on a road trip, 4 in Pittsburgh, and then the weekend sweep at Wrigley over the Cubs.
That's a big one for sure. But the predicament of this, and I guess a lot of what we're talking about with this team this season is framed by the low expectations coming into the season. So a lot of the discussion with stuff like this is sort of your vantage point, right? And the vantage point for this team was over under win totals in the 60s. So yeah, the bar was low going into opening day. But look, whatever you want to say in terms of best road trips in franchise history, this would be up there if the Nats do complete the sweep on Wednesday afternoon. We shall see what goes down in that regard. We offer shout-outs on the Nats Chat podcast. If you would like for us to deliver a shout-out to someone who you care about, email Tim Shivers. The email address is natschatpodcast@gmail.com. And we have a very special shout-out here. The folks at the Government Accountability Office, led by Keith Cunningham and Bill Hain, offer a shout-out to Mark Gaffigan, who retires this week after nearly 40 years of public service. When we asked Mark what he planned to do in retirement, he said, without hesitation, listen to a lot more Nats Chat. So congratulations to Mark Gaffigan. And Mark and Al, you'll need to get ready too. Mark spent his career saving the taxpayers billions of dollars by offering advice for improving government programs, and he'll probably have some tips for you guys too. Well, first of all, congrats to Mark. Second of all, Mark, we need all of the help that we can get, man. Okay, so we are willing to take whatever advice you have for us, whatever help you can give to us. But man, what a nice shout out there, and what a career for Mark.
Congratulations to Mark. I love this shout out so much. I wonder how many times Mark went to Wise Guys Pizza on a lunch break near the GAO, the Government Accountability Office. And let's think about just how much the sports scene changed for Mark, assuming he worked at that office, let's say 40 years. So he goes there in the mid to late 80s. And then the MCI Center comes, now as we know it today, Capital One Arena, and of course, Nationals Park. So the sports scene grew around Mark in his time at the GAO.
I mean, just from a baseball standpoint, for the longest time, baseball coming back to Washington, D.C. was like pie in the sky. And to now have a team that has been here for more than 2 decades, a team that won a World Series here, and a team that we hope is finally climbing out of a rebuild. Great to have that. This installment of Nats Chat brought to us by Mason Kalfas. He is the top legal recruiter in Washington, D.C. Mason has been with us since our first season. You can reach him at 202-486-3535. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. You can hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. And as mentioned, you can email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com. For Tim Shivers, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Here's the pitch. Swinging a high fly ball to right field. Parra moving back now, squares up. He's there. He waits. And he makes a two-handed catch. And in 11 innings, a Curly W is in the books. And so is a 3-game sweep of the Cubs at Wrigley Field in Chicago. The Nationals on the field to celebrate a victory and a sweep of the Cubs in Chicago. The final score in 11 innings, the Washington Nationals 7, the Chicago Cubs 5.